Social engineering at customer service. Attackers call a mobile carrier's customer support and impersonate the account holder. They use stolen personal information, such as full name, address, date of birth, or the last four digits of a social security number, to pass identity verification. This data often comes from previous data breaches, phishing campaigns, or public records. Once the representative believes the impersonator is legitimate, they process a SIM replacement or port-out request, moving the victim's phone number to a SIM card the attacker controls. Phishing for carrier login credentials. Attackers send fake texts or emails that appear to come from the victim's mobile carrier. These messages contain links to a fake login page. If the victim enters their username, password, or account PIN, the attacker gains direct access to the carrier's online portal. From there, they can request a SIM swap without speaking to anyone at the carrier. Insider bribery at mobile stores. Some attackers bribe or pressure employees at phone stores or call centers to perform SIM swaps on their behalf. These insiders bypass all normal verification steps, instantly transferring the victim's number. Criminal groups often use this method in coordinated attacks, especially in regions with loosely managed or franchised carrier locations. SIM swap via port-out fraud. Attackers request that a victim's phone number be transferred to a different carrier entirely, a process called port-out. They use stolen personal details to pass the receiving carrier's verification process, which can sometimes be weaker than the original carrier's checks. Once the port-out is approved, all calls and text messages route to the attacker's SIM on the new network. This method is effective because it can bypass some in-house fraud detection systems at the original carrier. Account recovery exploitation. Once the attacker controls the victim's number, they initiate password resets on email, social media, and banking accounts. Many services send one-time passcodes via SMS, which now go directly to the attacker. This gives them immediate access to accounts without needing the actual passwords. The attacker often changes the recovery email or adds their own phone number to lock the victim out completely. Bypassing two-factor authentication. 2FA SIM swapping is specifically dangerous for accounts that rely on SMS-based two-factor authentication. The attacker enters the victim's username and password, obtained from phishing or leaked data, and then intercepts the SMS code during login. This eliminates one of the main layers of security the victim thought was protecting their account. Credential harvesting through malware. Some SIM swap operations start with installing spyware or keyloggers on the victim's phone or computer. This malware records carrier account logins, personal identification numbers, and other sensitive data. With this information, attackers can initiate a SIM swap directly or combine it with other moves like port-out fraud. Malware-based harvesting is often used in targeted attacks against individuals with high-value online accounts. SIM hijacking through fake ID submission. Certain carriers allow SIM replacement requests via online forms that require an ID upload. Attackers forge high-quality scans of stolen IDs to submit with the request. If the carrier's verification process is automated or relies on low-resolution image checks, the fake ID can be enough to approve the swap. This method often pairs with stolen address and date of birth data to meet all the form requirements. Exploiting carrier app vulnerabilities. Some mobile carriers offer apps that let customers manage accounts, request SIM changes, and activate new devices. If the app has weak authentication or coding flaws, attackers can exploit these vulnerabilities to trigger SIM swaps. For example, bypassing an SMS confirmation step through API manipulation or exploiting a session token bug to gain full control of the account. SIM cloning. In rare but technically advanced cases, attackers clone the data from a victim's SIM card onto another SIM. This requires physical access to the victim's card, usually through theft or temporary access to their phone. Specialized hardware copies the SIM's unique identifiers and encryption keys. Once cloned, the attacker's SIM can function in parallel with the victim's, receiving the same calls and texts. This technique is less common today due to stronger SIM encryption, but it remains a risk with older card types. Exploiting weak carrier PIN systems. Many carriers protect SIM swap requests with a customer PIN. Attackers can obtain this PIN through phishing, by guessing weak PINs, or through insider leaks. Some carriers also allow PIN resets after answering personal security questions, which can be guessed or found via social media and public records. Once the PIN is in hand, the SIM swap request usually goes through without additional barriers. Mass SIM swapping campaigns. Organized criminal groups sometimes run large-scale SIM swapping operations, targeting thousands of numbers in bulk. They combine leaked databases of personal information with compromised carrier portals or corrupt insiders. By swapping many numbers at once, they maximize the chance of hitting high-value accounts while overwhelming carrier fraud teams. This approach often results in coordinated theft of cryptocurrency, bank funds, and control of popular social media accounts, intercepting carrier-to-carrier communications. During a legitimate SIM change, carriers exchange data over internal systems to validate and process the request. If attackers gain access to these systems, often through compromised employee accounts, they can insert fraudulent SIM swap requests directly into the workflow. Because the request appears to come from inside the system, it bypasses normal customer-facing security checks entirely. SIM swapping through account takeover of carrier employees. Instead of bribing insiders, attackers sometimes hack into carrier employee email or internal accounts. With these credentials, they can log into the same management tools employees use to process SIM swaps. This gives them the ability to perform swaps at will without triggering alerts that would normally flag an external request. Targeting multi-line accounts. Some victims have business or family plans with multiple phone numbers under one account. Attackers may target one line, often a less monitored secondary number, and use the account's master controls to initiate swaps on the primary number. Because the account owner may not immediately notice changes to a secondary line, the attacker has more time to take over high-value accounts linked to the primary number. Hijacking through SIM swap as a service. Some cybercriminal groups offer SIM swapping as a paid service. Clients provide a target's phone number and any known personal details, and the service operators handle the attack from start to finish. These operators often have standing arrangements with corrupt carrier employees or access to compromised internal systems, making the swap quick and efficient. This outsourcing model allows even inexperienced criminals to carry out SIM swap attacks. Exploiting delayed swap notifications. Certain carriers send a text or email alert when a SIM swap is requested or completed. If the notification is delayed or only sent to the number being swapped, the victim won't see it in time to intervene. Attackers exploit this by completing account takeovers immediately after the swap, before the victim realizes what has happened. Chaining SIM swaps with other attacks. SIM swapping is often used as one stage in a larger attack chain. For example, after taking over a victim's number, attackers may reset the password to their primary email account. With the email account under control, they can reset passwords for other services, gain access to cloud storage, or impersonate the victim in targeted scams. By chaining multiple exploits together, the attacker multiplies the damage before the victim can recover control. Targeting high-value victims via OSINT. Attackers use open-source intelligence, OSINT, to identify victims who are most likely to yield high financial gain. They scan social media, public filings, and cryptocurrency forums for clues about wealth, business ownership, or access to sensitive accounts. Once a target is identified, the attacker gathers as much personal data as possible, such as addresses, relatives' names, and carrier details, to prepare for a SIM swap attempt. Exploiting weak international roaming policies. Some carriers have weaker authentication rules for customers who are abroad, assuming that connectivity issues make extra verification difficult. Attackers exploit this by claiming to be traveling internationally and needing a SIM replacement. If the carrier processes these requests with reduced checks, the attacker can bypass normal domestic security protocols. Manipulating account recovery agents. In some mobile carriers, complex account issues are escalated to higher-level support teams called account recovery agents. Attackers may deliberately fail lower-level verification, so the case gets escalated, where different security questions or override procedures are used. If the attacker has prepared for these alternate checks, they can pass verification and trigger the SIM swap at this stage. Leveraging stolen identity kits. Identity kits, also called fulls, are complete packages of stolen personal data that include names, addresses, social security numbers, date of birth, and sometimes scanned IDs. Attackers purchase these kits on dark web marketplaces and use them to convincingly impersonate the victim when requesting a SIM swap. The completeness of the data makes it far easier to pass carrier verification steps without raising suspicion. Abusing carrier self-service kiosks. Some mobile carriers operate self-service kiosks in retail locations that allow customers to replace SIM cards without staff assistance. Attackers can use stolen or forged IDs to access these kiosks, insert a blank SIM, and activate it with the victim's number. Because the process is automated, security checks are often limited to a quick ID scan, which can be fooled by high-quality forgeries. Intercepting postal shipments issuance of new SIM cards. When a SIM swap is approved remotely, carriers sometimes mail the new SIM card to the customer's registered address. Attackers exploit this by intercepting the mail, either by stealing it from mailboxes, redirecting it with false change of address requests, or collaborating with corrupt postal workers. Once the attacker has the SIM in hand, they can complete the takeover without additional contact with the carrier. The video on screen? Worth a look if you like knowing what most people don't.